Hello and welcome to an episode of the Project Bag podcast. My name's Gemma and I'm coming to you from my home in Kent, where I live with my husband and my two cats, Archie and Kit 9. I've got no idea what episode number it is. I can barely remember what it is I do here. You're lucky I remembered my name and where I'm from. So buckle in, kids. It's going to be a bumpy ride. On the show for you this week, I have a whole host of finished objects to share with you. Summer flu sucks, but it's great for finishing objects. And I embark on a crazy 30-day challenge where I attempt to become a monogamous knitter. I will also be talking to you about Lara's Legacy Socks, my bid to raise money for Bliss, the charity for the newborn. Well, hello, how are you? It has been a long time. I think it's been a month again. The last episode I recorded was for my podiversary, and then that was just before I was deep into prep for Perth Festival of Yarn. Have you got a drink with you? Because this could be a fun one. And then I was elbow deep, neck deep at one point it felt like, in preparation for the festival. So I simply didn't have the time or the energy to podcast. So I hope you can forgive me. Also, wow, hello, new subscribers, because there are a lot of you. Last time we were talking about a 250 subscriber giveaway, and this time we're at 297 at the time of recording. So welcome. Wherever you've come from, welcome. Lovely to have you here. And for returning viewers, it's so nice to have you back. Thank you for your patience. We have got so much to talk about today. I'm going to try not to talk too quickly, but let's get on with some admin to start with, shall we? Let's talk about the CALs, starting with the one that I have now wrapped up. The thread is closed and I am drawing prizes, and that is the Fan Club CAL. This has been so popular. It's been an absolutely fun ride. I, of course, have knit nothing and crocheted nothing and sewn nothing for this CAL because it's me. That's my MO when it comes to doing CALs. I don't do them. Great intentions don't often come to fruition with me. So yeah, it's been amazing, and the breadth of things and the links, the tenuous links that have been made, they just make my heart sing. So I'm going to shut up for a sec. Let me show you some of what you've been up to in the last few weeks. So this Create Along, Craft Along has been going since February. I've pulled a couple of interim prizes for patterns, and I am so thrilled with how it's gone that I have decided to pull two prizes this time for the closing. One is a kind of grand prize for the CAL as a whole, and another is kind of runner-up participant prize where I'm going to gift a pattern from the wish list. So without further ado, here is the name of the winner. I should probably move that. I'm totally ready for this. Well done you. Don't know who you are yet to congratulate you with my actual voice at this precise moment in time, because kind of haven't actually drawn it yet. But you have won a project bag made by me and a skein of yarn, which I will be sending to you, and I will be gifting you a pattern from your wish list. So yeah, I'm not sure if I'll bring that one back. It's been really fun. I think longer running cals might be the way to go. What do you think? Do you prefer ones that run for a bit longer and give you more opportunity? Or are there just too many cals out there now to join in with, and you start one and then there's another one that you really kind of want to do, and oh, does it get too much? I'd be really, really interested to hear what you think. For me, I love the idea of cals. I want to join in, but time is a massive issue. My commitment is a massive issue. That's another story for another day. Well, later today. And I do also start a cal, or have the intention of doing a cal, and then I'm like, oh, squirrel, because there's a more interesting cal, well, not more interesting, but a nice new bright shiny cal over there. So I don't know. But anyway, you guys have been amazing. You've joined in brilliantly, so fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay, now on to the next long-running cal, which is the Project Alam Lace Along. Now, haven't told Ellen this yet. Gonna tell her in a couple of hours when we do our live. I'm recording this on Monday, 16th of September. We'll see how long it takes me to get it up. Yeah, I've decided we're going to extend it. Lace is kind of complicated. Lots of people are joining in, but there are very few finished objects. So I think there are only 3 finished objects in the finished objects thread. So I'm actually going to extend that to the end of the year. So yeah, it's running till at least December. It just doesn't seem fair to everyone who's working so hard and learning lace to have so many of you not get to the finish line. And that's not a reflection on you. That's not me saying you haven't made it, you suck. It's saying quite clearly we need a bit longer for this, because it is quite a skill. And my one condition for the lace along was that you pushed yourselves. So you didn't just do a couple of knit 2 together yarn overs and go ta-da, lace. That you, from where you were, from your proficiency at lace, pushed yourself up a bit further. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. What I love is the sheer amount of double dipping with projects as well. I am all for double dipping. You double dip away as far as I'm concerned. Alan looked at me very confused when I was talking about this, and I think he thinks I'm referring to carrot sticks in hummus, which of course is a massive no. You never double dip a carrot stick in hummus, or a breadstick, or any sort of stick. Can you tell I'm really tired still? I tried to take a power nap before recording, but it just hasn't happened. So those are those 2 cals. The next cal that we've got going on at the moment, which is running until October, possibly until mid-October, and I'll tell you a bit more about that in a minute and why, is the Crack Those Whips cal. Each year I start to get a bit antsy around about summertime with how little knitting I've done over the summer, i.e. wasted my summer, how close the, big C word is, and how much I have planned and hope to do for then, and the likelihood of me doing it, and how much I've got on my needles. I am never ever stressed out by my whips, and we're going to come to that again in a minute, because it's been a real bone of contention again this week. But I do feel the fear and feel the panic when it comes to wanting to cast on lots of gifts for people for Christmas. So last year I decided it was time to crack those whips and get some of them finished. This year you guys have just embraced it. It's been brilliant. Here are some of your wonderful projects that you have been cracking over the past month or so. isn't it lovely to have the opportunity to look at what other people are doing? And one of the things that I've been so pleased with, and it's really felt amazing, is how warm and how kind you're being to one another and encouraging and commenting. We've actually kind of started an unofficial Cal, and I think, was it to do with the Craft Monogamy Cal or the fan club Cal? One of them, I've got a feeling it's the fan club Cal. A lady's working her way through all the Agatha Christie socks. Apparently there are 12. I quite like the number 12. That sounds like a great number to have as an arbitrary goal for socks. And so we kind of inadvertently started. I've never read any Agatha Christie either. I know, shock horror, English graduate, English teacher for 10 years. Never read any Agatha Christie. Huh? But I haven't. So we've kind of started an impromptu, completely informal, just in the Ravelry group, read and sock along for the Agatha Christie novels and sock patterns. I think Miss Marple and Poirot. That was awful. So sorry, people watching this who are French or speak French better than me. I'm very sorry for butchering that language. Yeah, it's great fun, and I'm finding myself looking forward to reading some Agatha Christie books and starting that. And I was talking to Amy, my friend Amy Florence, and I said, you know, there are 12, and she said that's an excellent number for an arbitrary goal. And I said, yeah, but you know, and she said, oh, it's one a month. I said, yeah, but it's a long time until the end of the year. And she said, well, you can start whenever you want. So I'm thinking that might happen. What do you think? Would you like an Agatha Christie sock along? At which point I apologise wholeheartedly to, I can't remember your Ravelry name. I'll put it here. I kind of think we should probably just have it going in the Ravelry group as an informal thing, just a bit of fun, and talk books, which is always fun. So yeah. So that one is carrying on, and then we need to move along to discussing the prize draws for the 250 subscriber giveaway and 1 year of the Project Bag podcast. But I'm gonna make you wait. You have to wait till a little bit later for that one. I know, I'm so mean, I'm sorry. I must admit, it does feel a bit weird and unnatural sat here in front of the camera again. On one hand, it's like a real relief, because it's like, yeah, I'm going to catch up with everyone again and sit down and have a chat. But on the other hand, I'm suddenly, having gone a month again without recording, I'm just going to move you slightly. On the other hand, having gone a month without recording, I'm suddenly really aware that you're in there somewhere, and I've been doing an awful lot of Instagram lives lately, so I've been experiencing a lot more immediate feedback and actual conversation, which is wonderful. If you want to follow me on Instagram and find me around the internet, because you just can't get enough of this face, what am I on, then all the information is just down below for you. I hope you have got a cup of something. It is starting to be sweater weather down here in the south of England, and it's definitely hot beverage season, definitely. I had my first pumpkin spice latte en route to Perth just the other week, at which point my lovely friend Marcus, Fiberpunk, messaged me and went, is that a PSL? I was like, oh no, it wasn't. It was like, are they here? They're here, I replied, and he dashed straight off to the nearest Starbucks, which is just made me smile. It made me smile. So yeah, here we are. The first kind of new episode of the new year of the Project Bad podcast, a month late probably. It's the 16th of September. I've probably said that already. But anyway, I'm here. I have got a cup of coffee. I've been a bit naughty. It's one of those instant, I can never say this, frothy coffees. It's caramel latte, which is ever so naughty. So I'm going to have a caffeine and a sugar high at some point during this podcast, if I remember to drink it. But so good luck. Cheers. So things have changed. Way back 2 months ago, I showed you my whipboard and it had 36 items on it. 36? I don't know why I'm looking at it. It says something completely different now. Then I got flu and I got sick, and I recorded the 1 year of the Project Bag podcast, and I had 5 finished objects last episode. Since then, I have had another 6 or 7 finished objects. I've gone down to, I want to check on my phone, but I can't because I'm recording on my phone. I was down to 26 whips, including a cast on and cast off. So I have really been cracking those whips myself, and I'm really pleased to be able to share some with you today. And I'm actually going to start with my favourite one, which wasn't even on the whip board last time I recorded. This one was on and off the needles within a week while I was having a hiatus, and it is this, the Sinister Sweater, and I love it. Isn't it cute? I am so pleased with this. It was Ulmana's idea. She is the designer of the Sinister Cardigan and the Simpler Sinister Sweater, and I'm looking around because I've got it somewhere. I've got the pattern for the Sinister Kittigan, which is the kiddie version of the cardigan, the cardigan. And this is the Simpler Sinister Sweater. It's a DK weight. And can I just say, I've gone from my first ever colourwork to knitting a colourwork sweater. I know this isn't the most advanced colourwork in the world, but for someone who's never done top down in the round from start to finish and colourwork, I think this is pretty impressive. I'm pretty impressed with myself. I can say that, right? So yeah, I have used neutral tones and warning. These are 2 of my autumn winter yarn collection, a collection of just 5 colours that for me really evoke the season, autumn and winter. It's not all about reds and browns and golds, although there is a red and a gold, so yeah. But for me, like, the start of autumn really is all kind of like the berries and things and everything fading. So warning is a semi-solid, quite heavily variegated actually, purple colour, and neutral tones is shades of grey. And I just think they look super cute together. This was so easy to work up. I do have some kits available that can be purchased, and I'm umming a lot this afternoon, I'm sorry. What was great was I knit it up and then I weighed the balls of yarn and worked out that I actually have enough to do the same jumper in reverse. So now I need someone to have twins because I did the first size, so these won't fit my twin god babies, and then I can give them to them. But you will be able to see this in the local yarn store, where I am actually stocking my yarn in Faversham from this month, which is super duper exciting. So there we are. Sinister Sweater, which I love, and there may have to be a grown-up size for me, although I think I would edit the neck because I'm not a huge fan of having things high up around my neck. It's just my personal preference. But there we are, finished object number 1. Okay, so I wrote down which socks I'd already shown you on the last podcast, and I now can't remember. I think I've shown you Grubby Goldfish, that I'd finished those last time. The ends still aren't woven in, but Grubby Goldfish is available in my shop still. I think I'd shown you Speckled Eggs, but I can't remember. So there we are, Speckled Eggs. These socks, and all the socks I'm going to show you, were cranked on a circular sock machine by my lovely friend Amy, who you will know from the Stranded Dyeworks podcast and Stranded Dyeworks Yarn Company. And if you want to know what her sock machine is, then you can Google it. You literally put in Amy Florence sock machine or even Amy sock machine and it comes up. But there we are. And I put the toes on and did the afterthought heels. I'm getting quite good at this. I'm pretty certain I've shown you the Fairy Kisses because I think I showed you how impressed I was with my Kitchener stitch. So Aurora Borealis is finished and Opium are finished. So I think that might be it for finished objects, for socks for finished objects. I think I've shown you all the others. But it is not that we are not done for finished objects yet. No, we're not. Hold on, stay there. Hi! And you can tell which one I've only just finished, well, a few weeks ago, because the ends aren't woven in. But I have mittens. These are my first ever colourwork mittens. In fact, it's my first proper colourwork, as in the round. Just flip my tassels, woo! And these are the Selby mittens by Ellie, who is Skein Deer Knits. She has the Selby Mitten Club that comes out about this time, well, a bit sooner normally, but it's come out just this week every year with 6 pairs of Selby mittens. She also runs the year-long Mittalong, in which you aim to knit 6 pairs of mittens throughout the year. Now, I have used Springfield Farms wool in the 2 colours, the grey and the yellow that they had. They are quite woolly, but it doesn't itch my wrist at all, which is really nice. I'm really, really pleased with the way they worked up. You will notice that one is a little bit narrower than the other. Now, this is because it took me so long to knit them that I forgot what needle size I was using and didn't change down the needle size when it came to finishing them off. So this one is actually narrower than this one. So what happened was I knit this hand first. I need to tighten that up a bit, but I knit this hand first. And then I wanted to do the second mitten and have a finished pair of mittens. And I think this was quite some time ago. But anyway, so I wanted to finish them off. And I got really excited. And then I realised that I had knit 2 left-hand mittens. Now, before you start laughing, Ellie herself has done this with the pumpkin spice mittens. So don't be too quick to judge and mock. So I had to frog them back. And I also, by that point, I think this was just before Christmas or near Christmas, I got to about here on this mitten, about here, and I ran out of grey yarn. I was at Edinburgh Yarn Festival in March. I met up with my friend Eva, who obviously is local, and she gave me what she had left of her grey yarn. Wonderful, I can get it finished. Of course, I completely didn't touch it until the summer, until pretty much when I got sick, just after I spoke to you last. And then I re-knit the mitten and I got to the end and I didn't need the grey yarn, and that's when I realised what I'd done, that I had actually knit it on smaller needles than I knit this one. So on the plus side, I won at Yarn Chicken. On the downside, I have 2 slightly odd looking mittens, and you can see on the hands as well, they look quite different. There's also something very strange going on. You could see a clear line across the palm there, and I don't know why that is, because all the relevant stitches are there and in the right place. It's just that particular row is incredibly tight, and it doesn't seem to happen on that mitten as much. So overall though, I'm thrilled with these. The pattern was really easy to follow. I now want to knit all the colourwork mittens. I do have Ellie's Nelly socks on the go as one of my whips, but they are being ignored just for the moment. Would I recommend them? Absolutely. Would I recommend Springfield Farms yarns? Yes. Only problem is they are a small producer, and that means the wait list for the mills for spinning is much, much longer. It is totally unfair. It's totally wrong. And there is a campaign for wool of which Prince Charles is the patron, and I'm hoping that with enough awareness and enough demand and enough community interest projects that actually we can maybe extend our mill infrastructure. I can't say too much about it now, but there is something in the works in my end of the country, which we're hoping very much to support and to get going. But I will let you know more details as I have them. But yeah, definitely hoping that that will come to an end soon and the small producers won't be discriminated against in that sense. But there we are. I love them. My mittens, I have mittens, and now I need mitten weather. I was quite disappointed actually, because Eva said before Perth, she said that it was definitely mitten weather. She was wearing mittens and a scarf, and I got up there and it was really mild and balmy. I don't think I wore a jacket the whole weekend in Scotland, and I was there for got arrived on the Thursday and left on the Monday. So it was a long weekend. And I didn't need to wear them. Although I can't be that disappointed because I hadn't woven in the end and I'd left them at home. Right, I think that might be it for finished objects. 3 pairs of socks, a jumper and some mittens. I think that might be it. If I have any more, then I'll share them with you next week, because my whip board has changed significantly as well. But I will leap straight into showing you what whips I've worked on in the last few weeks and, well, months really, I guess. So the first one I want to talk to you about is my lace diagonals shawl. That has disappeared from my whip board altogether. The reason it's disappeared is because the pattern actually was quite poorly written, in my opinion. The second lace section just didn't work. The numbers didn't work, and also on this pattern it didn't tell you how many stitches you should have at the end of each repeat. So it was really hard to figure out where you'd gone wrong or if the pattern had gone wrong. After a couple of attempts at trying, thinking it was me because I'm not as proficient at crochet as I am at knitting, I went to Ravelry and, reading the comments, discovered that everyone had had the same problem, that there was an issue with part 2. And I thought, I can't, in all good conscience, if I manage to figure this out, I then would have to write down the errata or understand what I'd done. And if I got it finished, the plan was to have it on my stand at Perth for a sample. And then obviously people would ask me what the pattern was, and then I'd be saying the pattern, and then they'd be going off and crocheting the pattern and having the same problems. I thought, I don't want that. I don't want that. So I ripped it out completely, and I'm now doing a shawl that I can't remember the name of, but I'll put the name here. And this is from one of the crochet project books, one of the shawl project books. It's not much to show at the moment, but it is a triangular shaped shawl with a central spine. And I'm just on the first stitch. So the first stitch is fairly solid, and then it opens up into another band of a different stitch, and then it opens up further into almost a lacy type stitch at the bottom. But that's all I've got to show for it so far, and it's not going to grow much over the next 30 days, and I will explain why shortly. But this is in the Port colourway, which is another of my autumn winter colourways, and I absolutely love it. It's not the easiest one in the world to dye. They do tend to come out a little bit different each time, but I just love the different... Oh, that's blowing out really badly. If I hold it over here, that's a bit better. You see the different tones within it. I quite like it. So that has shrunk. It has been removed from my whip board, and then we continue. Next, I have been working on my West Yorkshire spinner sock. I actually put quite a lot of work onto this on Saturday when I was hosting the Yarn Dispensary's 4th birthday celebrations, and the lovely Amy Florence had a trunk show. She brought Stranded Dye Works yarns for a 1-day pop-up shop in the Yarn Dispensary to help celebrate its birthday. So here we are. I am well past the point at which I would put in the heel, I think. I think the heel will go about there. And I am now working down what will become the foot. I don't know exactly how much further I've got to go because the other sock is in the shop on a blocker demonstrating the yarn. I am using West Yorkshire Spinners Rum Paradise, and I absolutely love how bright it is, with a kind of coordinating mini skein from Socks Yeah by Coop Knits, when this is the 4-ply. And actually it matches that kind of raspberry pink really well, so I'm really happy with this. It's a shop project, so it only gets worked on at the shop, and as I say, I was able for the first time in ages to do some knitting in the shop on Saturday, and I got quite a lot done. I think I did from there down to there on Saturday, just talking to customers and knitting, and because there was so many people on hand, it was just really nice. So that's that one. Again before Perth, but it was unfortunately doomed not to be ready for Perth, I worked on the shawl for an art lover. Now this to me at the moment looks like some sort of mess. I'm not loving it at the minute. I think it's me and my tension. I can't be sure. I'm tempted. I can't even remember what size needle I'm doing it on, to be honest. I think it's a 3.5. or I might still be doing it on a 4, I'm not sure. But this is the shawl for an art lover. I do absolutely love the pattern. I really want the shawl, but I just think maybe it's a bit too loose at the moment. You can see how it gets bigger there, and you can see the central spine there, but we'll see. So I have done chart A, and I'm ready to start the 7 repeats of chart B. So I think I will carry on and see whether I like it, or if I need to go down another needle size, because some of it to me looks very loose and not as the pattern should. And I am using for this my vintage colourway of my cobweb lace. This was the very first, oh, there we go. This is the very first lace collection that I did. It's 1600 meters of 80% superwash merino and 20% silk. So it's a cobweb lace, and the first collection I did earlier in the year was a vintage collection, so it was all kind of muted dusky shades. My latest collection is precious stones, and they're all named after precious stones. You can find them in the shop at the moment. So that's Shawl for an Art Lover by Carrie Westerman, which will grow. It will grow, but bear with me, there are reasons. Now, one of the problems with being really ill over the summer, as I was, I keep mentioning this and I'm not actually explaining it. So on the 21st of July, I got really sick. I had flu, basically. I had a temperature of 103. It was so hot that week here in the south of the UK. We had the hottest day temperature on record ever, I think, at Brogdale, which is actually near Faversham, where I work. My fever was so bad that I couldn't actually tell it was hot outside of me. So I didn't know what everyone was fussing about. And then, so I was a bit laid up and not really feeling like knitting, although I did do lots of toes and heels on socks, as I've shown you. And then I went back to work and I wasn't ready, and I ended up off again for another week. And that would have been, I went back to work the week I recorded the podcast. And then I ended up off again for another week after that because I was left with a really bad sinus infection from the flu, and I'd also been completely knocked out. I was not ready to go back to work. I really shouldn't have done, but a little bit stubborn. Plus I have a festival to prepare for, you know. But the problem was that by cracking all my whips, I then had nothing simple left on my needles or hooks for easy knitting. So I then got out my grandma's jumper, which you will probably remember because it has been going for quite some time. Hang on, my crab's got hold of me. Look, my crab has got hold of my light bulb. That's actually a thing. No, let go of the light bulb. You can't have it. Ah, that's better. So this jumper, which has been going for the longest time, this was a whip when I started the podcast and I was determined to finish it. I'd done the sleeves, but I ripped back the body because it had really weird shaping and I didn't like it, and it was also way too short. So I have been working on the body, and I must admit I've put quite a lot on. I think I put that much on since last time I shared it on the podcast. So that has seen some love. I'm using 100% cotton yarn from my local yarn store in Maidstone. It's unbranded. It's also evidently hand dyed because you can see all the pooling. And I have actually started alternating skeins this time because the pooling was really interesting. It had like a band kind of going diagonally across the breast area, which didn't look that attractive. And Grandma, bless her heart, said she was totally fine with it. She wasn't. And I wanted it to be perfect for her. So I've been working on that, and there's nothing really to report other than I'm determined still to get it done. But I had to stop working on that to work on the Sinister sweater, which was a sample for Perth, and obviously to try and get some other bits done for Perth as well. So that's been left on its own for a couple of weeks, and that is living in one of my project bags. This is my Scotty Dog project bag. This is a sweater size. I mean, it's in there with another 3 balls of yarn, and quite happily, with a bit of room to spare. It's comfortable at the top. And yeah, so that's my kind of medium size project bag. And I think I've got one in the shop now if you want it, and it's a unicorn print. I really like it. Look, it's got my little handmade the project bag right there. Yes, that's cute. Can't find these, need to find them. Those of my bags don't have them on at the minute, so I couldn't find them. Right, the next whip I've been working on, again at the shop, is the Bamba shawl. You've seen this a few times. Last time I showed you I was about here. I am now here, because that's how knitting works. Well done, Gemma, well done. So yeah, it was just above where that stitch marker is, and I've done all of that in the last week, just because I really felt like knitting on it. I had done my Perth festival, so I'd done my kind of what I could with regards to samples, so it was time to knit things that I really wanted to. It is a shop sample for the yarn dispensary because I'm using the yarns that we stock there. I'm using Fibre Spates, which is the pink, Fibre Spates Vivacious, and I'm using 2 strands of Isaga. I'm using Alpaca 1, which is a kind of, probably can't see it very well. Pink hand, the greeny kind of slightly thicker one. Come on. There is Alpaca 1, and then this is the silk mohair. So I'm using those held together to give the kind of fluffiness. I absolutely love it. I really want it finished. It's gonna happen at some point, I just can't tell you when. Another one I made lots of progress on while I was off sick the second time is the Faience by Soraya Garcia, and it appeared in Pom Pom Quarterly, the summer edition. And I finished the back, and I'm well down. I'm about halfway down the first front. I am working this in Ericanite Gossypium cotton. Again, it's a shop project, so it's only being done at the shop. So not a lot's happened to it recently because obviously I've been away, but I did get all of that done and I was quite pleased with it. I really like the pattern. I'm going to be completely honest, I'm not looking forward to picking up and doing all the rib along the sides. That will take a long time, but it's going to be worth it. I cannot wait to have the finished product. And I was lucky enough to meet Soraya at the festival. Although I say meet, I didn't actually properly say hi to her because I was too shy, because I'm like that. But yeah, I cannot wait for the finished product. But I'm going to have to wait just a little while. The final thing is effectively a new cast on. It's the Birds of the Feather shawl, which officially I cast on in our March cast on party with Ellen. But when I picked it up on Wednesday, just gone, having just landed back in England on the Monday night, early hours of Tuesday morning, I had booked the Wednesday off work as well because I knew I'd be in no fit state after that long journey. So I went to my local knitting group and I thought I want to work on my Birds of a Feather shawl. And for this, I am using Stranded Dye Works in the Frostbite colourway on the singles base, as it was. I'm not sure what it's called now, or if she even does it still. And I'm using proper vintage 80s mohair from someone's D-stash. I'll see if I've got the, oh there you go, look at that. Peyton's Fashion Mohair. It doesn't actually say on here when it was done, but look at that label. That's just hilarious, isn't it? I mean, that's just mad. So I thought I'd use that. Now, Birds of a Feather, if you haven't seen it, has a kind of ethereal quality, so with a 4-ply yarn and then a mohair lace. Now, I thought 4-ply mohair, 4-ply yarn, it will look great. So I used this blue, but I am actually not loving it. It looks really dense and solid. There's no ethereal quality to it at all. So I'm now in a bit of a quandary. I did ask on Instagram, do people think I should just frog it and find another mohair, maybe save up and buy a mohair lace to go with it? Do I repurpose the stranded yarn for something else, although it was always earmarked for Birds of a Feather? Or do I continue, because it's very dense, do I continue and have a birds of a feather that looks completely different to everyone else's, which is not a bad thing. It's just, I don't know, it just looks a bit dense and solid to me. I mean, it's a bit itchy. It's not too itchy. I could wear this, but sorry, I'm looking at the shawl on my neck. Yeah, I could totally wear this, but I'm just not sure if it's what I want. I think I want the ethereal quality of the original Birds of a Feather, which was like totally see-through, and this isn't see-through in the slightest. So I don't know. And that is living in one of the very few things living in a project bag. My project bag by Calix Kellen, Mrs. Lamb's Yarns, which was a very sweet gift. So let me know what you think about that. So as you can see, I have been dancing from whip to whip, which is normal for me. That's totally normal, and I have no problem with that. I've got a feeling I'm missing one somewhere. But something different is afoot. I have embarked on a 30-day challenge to work on just one thing at a time. I know. It came about because a while ago I was watching a really great vlog. I highly recommend you check it out, which is called Taking Back Friday, and it's done by Felicia Lowe, who is the founder, chief dyer, creative genius behind Sweet Georgia Yarns at the Canadian hand-dyed yarn company. And I watch her vlog every Friday, or if I miss it, I like to catch up, because they're only about 20 minutes long maximum, which is really refreshing, she says, looking at the timestamp, and it says 45 minutes and she hasn't talked about Perth yet. Yeah, I like them. They're nice to just kind of watch as little bite-sized mini vlogs, but she always talks about really interesting things. She has kind of like a topic for each one. I haven't got the brain space for that personally, but I think it's a great idea. And this title of her Taking Back Friday vlog a few weeks ago really grabbed me. It was, are we meant to be monogamous knitters? Now, obviously, I'm taking that to mean crafters, because knitting and crochet interchangeable for me. But the question she posed was, are we meant to be monogamous? And she was talking about how she'd read in a book somewhere about the creative process, and that we are meant to just work on one thing at a time. I can't remember the reasoning why. I will link the vlog below if I remember. Go and watch it. And this got me curious. So I posted 2 polls at once to my Instagram stories. 2 questions, and it's a yes or no, the way that if you're not an Instagram person, that's the way it works. So I put the question, are we meant to be monogamous crafters or knitters? Yes or no. And then my second question was, do you think I should be? Do you think I should try it? Now, this was really interesting. I put both questions up at once, remember? So I didn't have the benefit of feedback from the first question, should we be monogamous crafters, before putting the second question up. Big mistake. So, first question, should we be monogamous knitters, crafters? No, was the overwhelming answer. No. There were a few who were quite predictable, who said yes, we should be. You know who you are. I'm not going to name a shame. But almost everyone unanimously said, no, we're not supposed to be monogamous. Fine. Next question, should I try it? Bearing in mind my whipboard over there, which had 36 items on it last time you guys saw it. Or, yeah. Oh, I got it down to 32, didn't I? Now it's at 26. Everyone said yes. Everyone, I think one person maybe said no. Everyone else who voted said yes, and the rest were too cowardly to have an opinion. So, you lot are mean. Totally mean. And I don't appreciate it. Not one little bit. But because I was stupid enough to ask the question and give you the option to make me do it or not, I'm going to have to see it through. So this has become a bit of a thing. There are no prizes. It's just a fun Instagram challenge, a bit of an experiment. It's over on my Instagram page. On my grid, there are 15 prompts for days 1 to 15 of the 30-day challenge. And the idea is that you are completely craft monogamous for the 30 days. This is stressing me out. I am telling you now. Oh my God. Oh my God. So anyway, I've decided I'd do it. I decided I would start it on the Saturday, the 16th, and we're going to finish it on the 15th of October, because the 16th of October we're kicking off the festive cast on, and we're going to have a festive cast on party with me and Ellen. We're going to try and cast on all the things like we did in March. So it started it on Saturday. And it's just an experiment, really, to see what happens to us if we try and be monogamous crafters. Now, there are some kind of bends that can happen to the rules, which, I mean, the rule is simple: work on one thing only at a time for 30 days. That doesn't mean one day you work on a sock, another day you work on a jumper. It means if you choose to work on that sock, you are working on that sock for the 30 days or until it's finished, whichever it comes first. Then you get to pick something else up. I can't be completely 100% monogamous in my crafting because I'm only allowed to work on shop projects at the shop, which is perfectly understandable. And that would mean that if I was monogamous, I would have to then work on the shop projects at home and not do any of my own things, which means for a whole month I wouldn't get anything done for me. So I've decided that if you are someone who has to do some sort of knitting or crochet or craft for work, that doesn't count. But we're talking about at home in your free time when you would normally reach for something that gives you joy, something to create. That's when you're monogamous. So, I mean, some people are already messaging me and asking me about renting the rules. One woman joined and then by day 2 had run out of yarn. So then realised she would have to wait a week for her yarn to turn up and then do nothing for a week. So she's already fallen off the wagon and has picked something else. So you see straight away the problem with trying to craft monogamously. If you try and pick a project and see it right through from beginning to end, what's going to happen? Look at me. I have so many whips on my board. And when I'd churned through all of my simple knitting when I was poorly, I then had nothing to reach for when I was watching the telly with my husband. I ended up doing much less crafting. And I found that really stressful. But anyway, I've started the challenge and I decided straight away that what I wanted to work on was what I'm calling the Calypso cardigan. Hold on one sec, I'll grab it. I'm going to have to actually move. Hang on. Oh, no, tried to pause it and that didn't work. I have returned and I've moved you. Sorry, hang on. Let me move you back. Stay there. That's better. So I picked this. This was actually a whip on my very first podcast episode and I still haven't finished it. It's not mine. It's for a friend of mine or a friend of my mum's who has a chronic illness, and that means that fine motor skills are a challenge. Now, she still knits, she can knit quite happily, but this particular yarn, which is Calypso by King Cole, is quite splitty, or she found it to be quite splitty and hard to work with. So I said, give it to me, I'll do it for you. And that was over a year ago. And to be fair to me, I did get on really well, really quickly with the main body of the cardigan. So there's the back, done. It's in stocking stitch. And then there are the 2 fronts. But I do have a bit of a problem because one front's longer than the other, significantly so. I'm hoping a good blocking will sort that out, but that's because my tension has changed. And that's an argument for knitting one thing from start to finish, because then your tensions might not change so much. Whereas when I did one front and then waited a couple of months before doing the next front, tension changes, you end up with 2 different length fronts. Because this was done by number of rows, not by number of inches, which obviously is like problematic. So yeah, if I match these fronts up, you can see there's a good 2 inches difference between the 2. But I'm hoping a good blocking will sort that out. And then I just didn't do the sleeves. So the last thing I've been working on this week is the sleeve. I've cast on for the first sleeve last night and I have almost finished the ribbing and I'm almost ready to start the main body of the sleeve. Is that a thing? The main section of the sleeve. So I picked that one because my mum's friend is really, really knit worthy. I want her to have this cardigan. I feel awful that I didn't get it done, but work things took precedence. Work things took priority. So I decided to work on those first. And then, so I've decided for it to be that, because if I can only work on that for 30 days, I'm going to get the thing done. And I'm hoping I'm going to get the thing done so I can get onto other things. This is where I am super duper stressed, because I'm now committed to working on this one project for 30 days, and Cecilia, who is an amazing designer for crochet and knitting and fabulous podcaster, although her podcast is in Spanish, I'm not sure if she's got an English version, but I met her at Perth Festival of Yarn, and she's doing a mystery cow, and it starts next week, and I really, really, really want to do it. I've bought the pattern, I've bought it and everything. I don't think I'm going to get that done in a week, and I'm in a major grump. I'm also the sort of person, I'm discovering this about myself, that I'm a total brat, because if I have to do something, I don't want to do it. So having embarked on the 30-day challenge and said that I'm going to do this Calypso cardigan, I then didn't touch it on Saturday, and I didn't pick it up until about 8 o'clock on Sunday evening. I wasn't doing anything on Sunday. I did literally nothing. I went to the shops with my husband to get some groceries in, and I did a little bit of housework in the morning under sufferance because I was really tired and in a massive grump about that as well, because I'm basically a brat. Didn't touch it until about 8 o'clock in the evening, and it took me 3 hours to cast on 59 stitches. Obviously, it didn't take me 3 hours of constant work. I would cast on a couple of stitches and go, and go and do something else. I made cups of tea, I made dinner, I washed up, I scrolled Instagram, I actually, started hunting for alternatives to the Tegna or Tenya tea that I was knitting. That has come off my whip board. Basically, I'm uncomfortable knitting it now. If you're not on Instagram, you probably won't know what's been going on, but I'm not going to get into it now. Suffice it to say that right now I don't want to knit that, so I've frogged it. So I'm looking for alternatives that I can do with my beautiful yarn. What else did I do? I called my mum. Checked in with some friends. I basically did everything to avoid working on this cardigan, and there is nothing wrong with it. It's rib and stocking stitch. It's the best. It's the ideal project to have when I am absolutely brain tired and my brain is so exhausted. It got to the point where yesterday it wasn't so much that I couldn't word, which happens to me quite often. I could not human. Today I've been out for a Lara walk with my good friend Jackie, who some of you met at Perth as my booth buddy. We were walking through a field by Leeds Castle. It's beautiful. And I said to Jackie, I'm that tired, I could quite happily curl down on this bit of grass right here and fall asleep. So yeah, I am suffering big time from the come down. I have severe anemia. I also have an underactive thyroid. I'm the worst person at looking after myself, and I have forgotten to take my thyroid medication again for the last few days, and I just feel that on top of being absolutely exhausted from Perth, and they tend to go hand in hand. If I'm tired, I become forgetful, and then it becomes a kind of catch-22, or I don't know what you call it, but just go all the tangents today, Gemma, all the tangents. Basically, I get tired, so from something like Perth, and I took my tablets while I was in Perth, just to be clear. Then I'm too knackered and I become really forgetful, and I forget the things that actually will help me to be less tired. There we go, round. So yeah, this cardigan, how did I get onto that? Oh yes, simple knitting. This cardigan would be the perfect project, but I ignored it for the entire day that I had to spend knitting, because I'm a massive brat, basically, and I didn't want to do it because I had to do it. Things you learn about yourself when you do a challenge like this, huh? It's not too late to join in the challenge. Everyone is kind of doing it with me and posting day 2, day 3 at the right times. But if you wanted to jump in now and have a go, you can just, catch up with day 1 and 2. The prompts are really simple. It's like why are you doing it and what you're nervous about. And they've been really, really fascinating conversations going on people's grids. And then it's what craft you've chosen today, which is day 3. I mean, obviously you're going to be watching this on day 4 or 5, but honestly, try it whenever you want. It's just an experiment. There are no prizes. The rules they were hard and fast, but people are bending them to the point of breaking already on day 3. Erin. It's just an experiment and getting a really good conversation going. So I would love to hear your thoughts about craft monogamy. Also, some people are really, really judgy. Like, I've mentioned before that people have said that they find my whip board stressful. And my opinion on that is, well, it's not your whip board, not your problem. It's fine. It's mine and it doesn't cause me stress. So, if it stresses you out, just skip that bit when I'm showing it or stop watching. Yeah, people have out and out come and said, oh, it's so stressful and, I couldn't cope if I had that many whips. And other people have come into my DMs and said, oh, you'll feel so much better when you're crafting monogamously. Think of all the progress you'll make. Think of how many things you'll get finished, etc., etc. Now, I will finish the same number of things, but I will do it in, maybe I won't have finished objects at such regular intervals. Hang on, I think I need to turn the main light on. Oh, that's better. I haven't got the studio lights out today. I'm just too tired still. So we're going to cope with a slightly yellowy overhead light for this week. And then from next time, I'll be back into more of a routine. And we'll get the studio lights out and everything will be better, I promise. Yeah, and I'm going to be honest, I feel a little bit judged. And I don't really see as it's anyone's business to judge anyone else for the way in which they create and the way in which they spend their creative time. I find that I am more productive and more creative when I have got lots of things to choose from. I was trying to come up with the best way to explain it, and I really hit upon it as a result of this challenge. I view my whitboard as like a menu of treats. And I like the fact that I can get up and I can pick from whichever treat I want, whichever menu item I want for that day, for my meal, for my sustenance for crafting. However, sometimes things have a use by date or a finish by date, and then I will concentrate on that and try and finish it. But for me, monogamy when it comes to crafting is, well, I do a lot of batch cooking, particularly in winter. So there's just me and my husband at home and the cats, but they eat cat food, obviously. And I do a lot of batch cooking in the winter. I will make 6 portions of lasagna. I will make 10 portions of chili. I will make, it tends to, I get a massive stock pot out, put all the mince in and then turn it into 3 different meals. And I do a big casserole and I have 6 portions of that, and it all goes into the freezer and we get out whenever we fancy, and it's cheaper for us. It's really economical. It's cheaper. It's easier for cooking and washing up and all that sort of thing. And it means we get home cooked meals. This isn't actually the point, is it? No. Right, that was it. My whitboard is like a menu and I get to pick what I fancy for my crafting sustenance each day, which is fun. I batch cook a lot. If I made myself, like if I'd batch cooked but then made myself eat all the lasagna every meal until it was done, and we had 3 nights of lasagna on the trot, and then we had 4 nights of chili on the trot, and we had 2 nights of sausage casserole on the trot, we would be bored and miserable and phoning the takeaway. Variety is joyous, and I really like it. So for me, that whitboard isn't something to be stressed about. It's a menu, and I add things to the menu as they come up, and I'll pick from it. What do I feel like today? Tonight I'm not going to have dinner. I've told my husband to bring a pizza home because I went out for lunch with Jackie and I had the most amazing open sandwich. It was salmon tartare and lemon and something else, and amazing. But it also came with like 6 potatoes worth of sweet potato fries. I swear there were so many potatoes. So, but that's fine. And that's what my relationship with my whitboard is like. It's a weird way to describe it, isn't it? A relationship, but that's what my interaction with my whitboard is like. So I think this challenge is really fun because it's helping me understand more about myself and my crafting habits and why I have them. And also the people who are joining in with me. Some of them are naturally monogamous knitters themselves. And like Ellen, I called her smug the other day because she typically does craft monogamously. So she's more doing it to keep me company and to cheer me on with this massive challenge, because it is a real challenge for me. And then and other people though, I can't remember her actual first name, but she's on Instagram as Cinders something. She was saying that she typically does craft monogamously, but what's interesting is the way in which it's changed, in which the variety of things we've got to choose from. We've got a yarn stash, some of us, not everyone does, and that's fine, but there's more instant and more variety, and it's creating as a hobby, particularly knitting, rather than through necessity. So it's getting people to think about that. And yeah, it's just a fascinating conversation. So do follow the hashtag. I'll put it here. It's the Project Bag 30 Day Challenge is the hashtag, not the. And it's going on for 30 days. We're going to see, there's nothing to fail at. That's kind of my thing. It's not a knit along or create along. It's just an experiment. If you don't make it 30 days, you haven't failed. But it's just something fun to talk about. So that's what I've been up to. This does mean that for the next couple of weeks, my one whip that I talk about will probably be that Calypso cardigan. So I'm going to have to find other things to chat about, aren't I? Anything you'd like to see on the podcast, if you pop down below, that would be really interesting. We're going to keep the Crack Those Whips cows going for a little bit longer. The Project Lace Along Cal is going a little bit longer, but I would also love to get this conversation going about monogamous crafting. And again, I'm going to put the link to Felicia's vlog down below for you as well. Cheers. So my final thing on this is I have got rid of my whitboard entirely. Actually, that's not true. Don't panic. There are some serious whitboard fans out there. Leslie from the Knitting or Death podcast is actually going to pinch it and create her own whitboard, and so is Victoria, who's an absolutely lovely person who goes to my knit and stitch night at the shop, and she's going to create one as well. But I have changed it from my whitboard to the 30 days challenge running order, and this is where I'm getting really, really stressed out. I know that there are some whips that I should focus on, but deciding the order in which to do them is a problem. Now, I wanted to work through whips that I already had. But anyway, so the first one is the Calypso Cardi. That's happening. But then I've got this kind of mind map here. I really wanted cast on Andre de Castro's Nymph shawl. It's not Nymph in Portuguese, it's Nymph in English. I will put the correct name down here for the shawl. It's beautiful. He released it while we were at Perth and I want to make it. However, I want to finish the Bamba shawl, and I want to finish that for me, even though it's a shop whip. I also want to finish Grandma's jumper that I showed you. However, Cecilia is launching a mystery cowl, and I really, really want to do that. But Alan also asked me for a Lara sock. And I've got a jumper for my friend's baby, and I'm doing the 6 to 12 month size, and it's almost 6 months old. So you see my problem, don't you? What do I do? Like I said on Instagram, Andre shawl is my next cast on. And I totally, Gemma, not doing this stupid challenge, would have cast this on and had no problem starting the MCAL as well. Because the MCAL, you get 1 clue a week or a fortnight, and I could power through that in a couple of evenings, and then I'll have all that other time. But if I go on to Cecilia's MCAL, when it starts at the end of next week, I then can't work on anything else for the rest of the 30 days. And what if I get that project done, like the first clue done really quickly, then what do I do? I mean, I could do other things. I could photograph my stash. I could carry on winding my magic ball for my granny stripe blanket. Oh my God, imagine if I picked my granny stripe blanket and all I could do for 30 days was work on my granny stripe blanket. Oh, I love crochet. I love granny stripes, but night after night, one thing? And I'm doing a big granny stripe blanket, so that would not be finished. Some people have been savvy. Some people have picked things that are little and they can power through them. But, you know, I mean, I had thought that maybe I do the Calypso cardi and then Grandma's jumper and I get both things finished by the end of the 30 days. But I want to do Cecilia's MCAT and I want to cast on Andre's shawl. It's all going to be fine because at the end of the 30-day challenge, we're going to have a cast-on party. Yeah, some of you will know that Ellen and I hosted a cast-on party. It's not like a cast-on marathon for Easter. I will link the relevant episode when I talk about all this below. But yeah, so we're going to have another one ready for the Great Festive Cast-On, where she's going to co-host with me. We seem to co-host a lot of CALs together. But yeah, that's where we are with that. Let me know your thoughts about this whole monogamy nonsense. I'm regretting it on day 3. I'm really regretting it. I don't want to do it anymore. Can I stop? Right, so I'm going to show you a couple of acquisitions now, but I'm also going to talk to you about the Lara socks. I'm not going to talk to you about Perth in this podcast. I'm going to record another mini episode later in the week to talk about Perth and show you all my acquisitions and talk to you about Perth itself, because that is going to be probably another 40 minutes on its own. But there's so many exciting things that come as a result, and lots of giggles, okay? Like how we went to Glasgow by accident, and yeah, all the things. It was a real giggle with my friend Jackie, and I'm kind of censoring this a little bit, but we saw Highland cows on the way in, and Jackie made a comment about their appearance, which is a euphemism, well, could be seen as a euphemism, and then someone else came up to her at Perth, said hi to me, and then with great delight greeted Jackie as the cow lady. So yeah, I mean that was on my Instagram lives, but the podcast is family friendly, so I'm not going to go into that here. But yeah, lots to talk to you about. But I am going to show you a couple of acquisitions I've got from this past weekend at the yarn dispensary, because I have prizes to give away. And I'm also going to show you the Lara's Legacy pattern and talk to you a little bit about that. Bear with me one moment. So just before I went to Perth, I visited my local printers in Faversham, and I gave them the Lara's Legacy pattern, which had been tech edited by about 3 people by that point, and I needed printed to take physical copies with me to Perth, because Mia of Brambles and me was doing a kit, and I'll explain more about that later or another time. But here it is, the Lara's Legacy sock on high quality paper, which I'm really pleased with. And I actually have one of these to give away. Someone has paid it forward to give them away. Thank you, Lou. So I've got one of these to give away, sorry. And I think there are another couple going on another podcast as well, which is just amazing. The Lara's Legacy socks were designed in memory of my little girl, Lara. I'm going to try not to cry. It's been an emotional week because yesterday it was 18 months since we lost her. But I'm really pleased with them. I'll try and show you and look at the screen at the same time. I personally think that they are rather beautiful. And 100% of the proceeds from this pattern will go to Bliss, the charity for the newborn. These are now available, sorry, sorting out the focus. These are now available in my Ravelry store. They are not to be sold through local yarn shops because it reduces the amount I get for it significantly, which reduces the amount I can give to charity. They are £4.80. in Ravelry and £4.80 for the paper pattern as well. So of that, £3.80 goes to the charity from the paper copies, and with the exception of the kits from me of Brambles and Me, £4 goes from them, and the 100% of what gets left from Ravelry once they've taken their cut goes to Bliss as well, 100% of what's left. So we have already raised nearly £400, which is just incredible, or just over £400, which is just amazing. My goal is £1,000. So if you are able to support this by purchasing the pattern, then that would be incredible. If you are not in a position to purchase it, or you're not a sock knitter, if you would consider hopping over to my Instagram and sharing the pattern and talking about the pattern, and recommending it to people, that would be amazing. I get nothing out of this. This is not for my personal gain. It's purely for my little girl's legacy. And thank you so much to everyone who has already bought the pattern and cast on. Okay, the final thing I'm going to show you before I wrap this up for the week is to show you my acquisitions from Saturday. Saturday was the Yarn Dispensary's 4th birthday. Some of you know that I am the manager of a local yarn store in Faversham. It is not my shop, but I do manage it, which is such a privilege. And my lovely friend Amy offered to do a trunk show there to help us celebrate the shop's 4th birthday, which was very exciting. And when we had a great day, it was nice to hang out. We talked about how hexagons work. They're basically a square, but with more corners. That's one for you, Julia. And there was a pop-up shop with cake, a pop-up patisserie basically that happened in the workroom, and those cakes were amazing. I may have gone back more than once. Need knit the next size up in my jumpers, but oh well, get to knit more. There's no problem there. And at the end, she very sweetly gifted me a skein of her mohair lace. And this is a version of Equinox. I say it's a version of, being hand dyers, sometimes things don't come out exactly as you want them. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them, but if it's not exactly what you're aiming for. So this was going to be Equinox, but it was just slightly different to how she wanted it. So it's become a paint box colourway. However, I recognised it as Equinox, so it can't have been that far off. And I am going to put it, this was the Perth official colourway for last year, for 2018, and I have a skein. So I am actually going to hold it double with this, and I'm going to create myself a fluffy cosy hat, possibly the sparkling cider hat, which has been on my wish list for so long. It just remains to be seen if I'm going to put beads with it or not. And a pom-pom. I might get an alpaca pom-pom from the shop to go on that. Says that. Thank you very much, Amy. But she also gifted me, let me choose, a skein of yarn for the podcast to give away. So here is, and it's blowing out massively and looking orange because I'm using the overhead light, but I will try and take a picture and add it as well. This is Firecracker. Yeah, her Firecracker colourway, which I don't think is one she does particularly often. On her merino nylon base, 425 metres or 464 yards, and this is going to be one of the prizes for the 250 subscriber giveaway, or the Ravelry 1 year of the Project Bag podcast giveaway. I can't quite decide. Yeah, so you're going to get this, and hang on, I'm going to show you the last prize. Okay, I'm back. Now, I have resisted opening this because it's so beautifully packaged. But this is by Veronique, who is Verone's Bags on Etsy. She and I have followed each other for a long time. She is one of the most enthusiastic, warm, friendly people you can ever meet. And you can tell that when you connect with someone when you're just looking at a logo. Turns out she is local to the Yarn Dispensary and shops there and comes to the Knit and Stitch night. So I met her and we kind of already knew each other, which was so nice. But she makes the most incredible project bags, and I purchased one for you guys for the giveaway. So I'm opening it now. Oh my goodness, it's so big. Wow, I didn't expect it to be this big. Okay, so it's hard to really get an idea of scale when you're shopping on Etsy, but I had been admiring this bag for ages. Look at it. It's really lovely high quality cotton canvas. Beautifully made with a pretty bird on the front. Lovely thick drawstring, and it's double looped. Oh, that's just brilliant. And it's so big. Nice canvas carry handle there, and I'm not sure if it's leather or faux leather at the bottom, but this gorgeous silver, perfect for a celebration. But look how big it is. Look how big this bag is. That's amazing. I could probably get my head in it. I shan't because I'm wearing makeup, but I could probably get my head in it. So that is another one of the prizes, and that will have a skein of yarn in it as well. So there will be one of my project bags and Amy's yarn, and there will be one of Veronique's bags, and this bag calls for either Cinder Dragon or Grubby Goldfish. So one of those skeins of yarn will be in there. And those two prizes will be for the 250 subscriber giveaway and the 1 year of the Project Bag podcast giveaway. So 250 subscriber giveaway, we'll be getting the Veronique's bags with a skein of yarn, a Cinder Dragon from me. And I'm sitting on it, I think. No, that's something different. And the 1 year of the Project Bag podcast will be getting a skein of Amy Florence's hand-dyed yarn and a project bag from me. So 250 subscriber giveaway, prize being drawn, names going there. Congratulations. And the 1 year of the Project Bag podcast giveaway with this and one of my project bags is being drawn, and the name is going there. Congratulations. So all that's left from me to do today is say thank you so very much for watching and for coming back. To new viewers, I hope you've enjoyed yourselves. It's probably been a bit of a crazy fast whip through, not quite as much nonsense as normal, but do check out my other mini bonus episode which covers Perth Festival of Yarn and all the antics I got up to, including with the Highland cows, 32,000 litres of gin and an excursion to Glasgow. Find out all those things and more, and see what I picked up on the next mini episode, which will be landing at some point very soon. Thank you for supporting me, for supporting the podcast, and for shopping my shop updates. Take care. I'll see you soon. Bye.